He was the one that moved up. Canelo did not move down, debuting as super middleweight in what could possibly be the final fight of his legendary career with high stakes. Man, Terence Crawford had a lot to prove with this fight, because Canelo brought up an interesting point about Crawford's legacy. He asked Crawford, "Who did you beat in comparison to my legacy?" Well, now Crawford can say he beat Canelo Alvarez in a definitive fashion. He outboxed Canelo for the most part of the fight at distance in the pocket, barged him with combinations, and skillfully pot-shotted throughout the fight. And Canelo gave him all of the praise. He said he's grateful to share the ring with the best in the world, referencing Terence Crawford as the best. In fact, he holds Terence Crawford at a higher standard than even Floyd Mayweather. That is what he said. He believes that Crawford is a better boxer than Mayweather. A lot of people like Floyd. A lot of people hate Floyd. But to exceed the skills of another GOAT from a respectable fighter like Canelo Alvarez is such high praise. And it's great to see Canelo humble for a boxer who doesn't lose that often. It is commendable to see Canelo so humble after losing all of his belts in his weight class where the opponent met him. Right, Canelo had all the advantages. He was the favorite going into it. But Crawford defeated him in his own domain. Interestingly, Crawford was the one who delivered with the more respectable power punches. The reactions out of Canelo from some of Crawford's biggest shots were quite different than the other way, specifically at the end of the fight. 10 seconds left. This was a definitive moment that proved that Crawford not only was the better boxer of the two, but he can outbrawl Canelo. Most people believed if Crawford stood his ground with Canelo and took his biggest shots that he wouldn't be there that long, and that he would have to stay elusive, constantly sticking and moving, and just avoid Canelo's power punches the entire time. Look how this moment disproves all of that. So the exchange begins with Crawford taking a wide outside step for a better lineup of the left haymaker, but this time he doesn't set up with a jab or a feint. He is exchanging power punches with an urgent, desperate Canelo Alvarez at the very end of a winning fight. Canelo knows he's behind. He essentially gave Canelo a favorable opportunity to win, only to reveal to him that he had no chance even in his style of a fight. Defeated him in his own domain. You can't get a more emphatic performance than that. Crawford could have spent the last 10 seconds moving around and jabbing, but he stood toe-to-toe with Canelo and traded shots, landing the left haymaker. Canelo's dropping his defenses for offense and coincidingly lands a left hook himself. But look at the reaction. Both of them landed flush. Canelo starts ducking, whereas Crawford lines up another left hook as he is still holding that outside lead foot advantage. Lands that left hook as well. Shockingly stumbles Canelo toward the ropes, and you can see how committed he is to try to knock Canelo out by bringing that left foot forward as he threw the punch. Canelo settled into the parallel stance and desperately swings a last-ditching left hook. This is the final punch that he needs to land, or he loses the fight, and Crawford collides where he could have effortlessly evaded. He's evaded many times throughout the fight. The one thing that most people were saying that Crawford would have to completely avoid is the trade punches with Canelo, and he disproved all of us who thought so. Whose lead hook is gonna win? Of course Crawford's. He had better form. He didn't swing as wildly as Canelo did, and he's just the faster puncher of the two. Lands that shot flush across the jaw. You can't land a more perfect punch than that. Caused a whiplash, but he was still there. He was still tough enough to continue. I believe Crawford would have ended many fighters with that shot. It's unbelievable that Canelo withstood that. At the very end of the fight too, where fatigue set, and he's more tiresome. Usually fatigue is a contributing factor for a knockout. You take the punch as you're tired, bracing for the punch is a lot weaker. And at the very end, Crawford lands a jab to keep distance, ultimately ending the fight off of that exchange. Canelo was thought to have the power advantage. He was thought to be better in the pocket, thought to be better with his counters, and the pressure was eventually going to will Crawford by the bigger fighter, but it didn't go that way. Crawford handled the pressure with absolutely no issue. He was sticking and moving with the jab, intelligently playing a cat and mouse game with Canelo, drawing him into that southpaw left cross and effortlessly circling to the center of the ring every single time. A consistency that I did not foresee. I thought if Canelo was going to crowd him against the ropes, that Crawford could be stuck there because Canelo's ring cutting ability is pretty high level, but Crawford made it seem simple. And to be that calm and collected in the pocket with Canelo was a sight to see. Man, I was worried for Crawford that he was going to get chinned in those moments because Canelo is usually so good at landing these crippling body shots or even knocking his opponent out cold with a precise right hand in those sort of moments. Crawford seemed completely unbothered. He was laser focused while also seemingly having the time of his life out there. This guy was smiling and laughing around the ring. It was as if he knew the outcome of the fight before it even happened. I mean, look at the pocket fighting between these two. So they settled in that range from Canelo's reaching left body hook that he focused on the entire fight. That was like his go-to move, but usually to intercept Crawford's movement. This time, Crawford took the shot and stood right in front of Canelo, welcoming the standoff. Canelo must have been gleeing in this moment, just delighted to see Crawford stand toe-to-toe with him. Crawford throws a check right hook counter and uses that to momentarily pull down Canelo's head to combo with a short left uppercut. Now, Canelo realized the mistake he just made. When he threw that left hook, he stepped on the inside the lead foot. So when he tried to move out laterally to his left, he's trapped in by Crawford's lead leg. Their legs have overlapped each other. Canelo cannot move left unless he retreats. But given this confident position, he was not going to retreat. He was not going to let this opportunity get away. This is his domain. Standoffs, trading, exchanging in close. His counter style is emphasized in those type of fights. His abilities in close range are some of the best. So after trying to move to his left, he settles in front of Crawford and winds up for a right body uppercut. Lands a shot around the guard. But Crawford counters again with that short left uppercut, forcing Canelo into his shell. Now, there's different ways to get around this defense. You could try to just break right through it. In boxing, it's a lot more difficult than it is in MMA because of the bigger gloves. So he's trying to find these openings to attack with his left hand. So he throws a jab and probes it as a decoy up top. So Canelo's attention is going to be high up instead of to his body. And the opening that Crawford tried to fire through is to the center of the body. Try to get through the guard, but ultimately Canelo's slight left rotation blocks and deflects the punch past his body. And now Canelo goes on the counterattack. And look at the difference between the way they throw punches. Canelo is swinging with these shots. He's delivering with all of his power, but recklessly. Crawford is throwing tight, perfectly formed punches, whereas Canelo is sacrificing speed for more force. And he's not only winging shots with all of his might, but he's also unbalancing himself as he does it. Something you rarely saw from Crawford. Crawford made sure to try to keep his stance at all times and wisely rely on speed, over power, and certainty to land these punches. As the saying goes, speed kills. Now it is also 9 rounds in, and perhaps Canelo was feeling a bit frustrated, believing that he needed to score a knockout given these opportunities. So over-swinging and a power-reliance approach that late into the fight is necessary. Technically, exchanging punches with Crawford was less effective throughout the early part, so committing to the knockout made sense for him. It is more reckless, but he needed to make an effort to get the win. But that left hook misses. Crawford blades his stance. So the punch hits the upper back, and all Crawford does to counter is just shoot forward to left straight, connecting beautifully. That's a perfectly placed left straight right there. So Crawford continues. He elbow frames and pushes him away so he can pinpoint an opening for his left, and he fires a left uppercut coincidingly with Canelo's right hook. But there's a great difference in form. Canelo is swinging that arm from under with much worse telegraph, whereas Crawford keeps his arm bent and throws that left uppercut with as low telegraph as possible so he can get to the target first before that incoming right hook. And because he landed first, it naturally rotates his body to the left, allowing Crawford to use that left shoulder as a means of defense, blocking that powerful right hook from Canelo. Canelo follows up with another swinging left hook, and the form is like he's swimming, swinging his arms behind himself for maximum leverage. He's dropping his defenses for these powerfully knockout intended punches, lands that punch to the back as well. And from his stance, he hooks around the guard twice. So a left hook gets through and a right hook as well, knocking Canelo off stance. You see his left foot leave the ground in riposity,